Welcome to iHeartGeek.
And welcome to another fun-filled episode of iHeartGeek. You are up for our first. I think this is our first sequel.
It is a sequel.
It's a sequel.
We are continuation.
Yes, this is Doctor Who Part 2 for us. We are discussing the Tennant years.
Tennant.
the 10th
David Tennant.
Doctor. The 10th Doctor,
The 10th Doctor. To some people would say the best Doctor.
Arguably the best Doctor, yes.
Honestly, this is an argument that I have with myself. Let me introduce the table real quick because I can see we want to get right into this one. To the other side of the table is my good buddy, my agreeable counterpart. We have Kaj. How you doing,
Howdy.
bud?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing outstanding. So
agreeable counterpart is code for kiss butt.
No. Well, I'll say this: he gets less parts edited out than the guy on the right, which is PB&Jason.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, Jason.
How you doing, Jason?
Good. Edited, I suppose.
So, yeah, I've been looking forward to this one, actually, since before we did the Eccleston episode, because I love Tennant. My wife said she'd kill me if we didn't do a Tennant episode, so we had to do a Tennant episode, which I'm very happy about. So, before we get started, today's episode is brought to you by Weeping Angels. Don't blink.
Yeah.
Honestly, they say that is one of the scariest Doctor Who monsters. I never found it scary, but it's disturbing.
The more you think about it, the more it's like, and they do a lot of damage throughout the shows, throughout the episodes.
Yeah, and we're going to hit on to some of those. Before we get into this, warning to everyone out there, including Todd Harvey.
Yeah,
Spoilers!
Spoilers!
If you have not watched Doctor Who and you care, don't listen to this episode.
Todd, once again, Todd. Spoilers.
This usually goes out to Jason when we do these, but yeah,
I watched a lot of Doctor Who.
No, we're not talking the Doctor Who. We were talking. Scrubs was that last?
Oh yeah.
All right.
That was fun. So yeah, which is why we made the joke. Jason, spoilers. Jason, spoilers. Spoilers. Jason,
spoilers.
Hey, Jason, spoilers.
Jason, spoilers.
So anyway, there will be a lot of spoilers in this. Honestly, you can still enjoy the show with the spoilers. It doesn't bother me personally. I like spoilers. Mm-hmm. A lot of people flip out on it. If you haven't watched Doctor Who yet, get around to it. And if you're not going to watch Doctor Who, I don't know if you'll find this enjoyable. So do what you want with it. You have the information. Do what you want to do with it, guys. Sound right?
Right.
Right.
Love it.
Okay. So, Kaj.
Yes.
Which Doctor are you on now? I've been loving this journey. I love this journey because when we started the show, he had not watched any Doctor.
one Doctor whatsoever.
He said, I'm on a geek show. I have to watch Doctor Who now.
started with Eccleston. I got through Tennant, which is I would very very tied with the 11th, but Tennant is my favorite by far.
Right on.
But closely following Matt Smith. I just got done with Matt Smith, and I just started Capaldi.
Yeah, don't wait, because you're going to kick yourself when you keep watching and you change your opinion on it.
I'm not saying that he's because I don't want to spoil everything. He's not. He's just different.
We already gave spoilers.
He's a little different, and I don't like. I'm not really digging the dynamic just yet. But I've only watched like 2 episodes with Capaldi. Mm-hmm. Amazing actor. Oh yeah, love it. Love his actor, but he's not. It's a little different formula for me, and I'm trying to get used to it. But I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I'm not used to it yet.
Oh yeah, for me, I finished Tennant. Yeah. And I haven't gone farther, so
you better get
if
on
I'm going to
quick.
be in attendance on the next Doctor Who supplemental, I have to watch Smith for sure, because I haven't watched Smith. But Tennant, I did watch, and I said Eccleston was my favorite Doctor, and I'm still holding to that. But Tennant gets credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
He really was. He really did cement the show.
Yeah.
Eccleston took the ball and ran with it and passed it off to Tennant, and then he just scored touchdown after touchdown. And it cemented that show was going to be around for a while. Well, a while longer.
Yeah. Well, it's already been 45 years, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
It's going to be around, guys. With the Doctor Who, I mean, Eccleston is my favorite, but Tennant is my Doctor.
Right.
Everyone has their, that is the Doctor. Tennant is the Doctor to
right?
me, and my wife is so happy right now.
Well, and even saying, like I even said on Facebook that Tennant is my boy, like he is my Doctor, but Smith is like arm in arm with them. They're both hanging out together, in the TARDIS playing video games, whatever. Like, because they both bring an amazing amount of character to that role, and it's fantastic. I love it. I can't get more of it right now.
Well, see, and I like the showrunners a lot more in the Tennant era than, I know it's heresy, I like the showrunner more in Tennant era than Matt Smith era. A lot.
Okay.
Which is Moffat took over with Matt Smith.
Right.
Oh, I love Moffat.
I love Moffat.
Moffat's writing.
But to me, Moffat tries a little bit too hard to be clever on everything.
Except that he succeeds in being clever on everything.
A lot of clever.
I mean,
but sometimes it's just like too big for your britches stuff, honestly. I mean, it's splitting hairs, but I really enjoy...
Maybe as a showrunner, because again, I haven't seen Smith, so I don't know as a showrunner, but as an episode writer, I mean, he hit some amazing strides.
He does well, and with
this season with Tennant,
and not to, because we're definitely gonna be doing a Matt Smith episode on
so
this,
we're
but
not but
he's
right now,
I'd say one of my favorite arcs of the Doctor Who series has been Moffat, has been season 6 with Matt Smith, and we'll totally be talking about that.
Like
Spoilers.
we talked about with Eccleston, Davis does bring that cheese factor, but to me, he makes it worth it. You can see when the budget got bigger once Tennant showed up. Some of that cheese factor went away, but it was the same writing, and it made so much more sense.
Right.
Like, I mean, not to rehash too much, but if you would have taken the same cheesy mannequin episode from season 1, the pilot, and moved it into Tennant, it would have been a million times better. So that's a lot of budget. So the cheese factor, but Russell T. Davies, I think, did wonderful things for the show.
Well, this brings up an interesting question.
And I don't like that being taken.
It does bring up an interesting question that really can't be answered, but based on what you just said, what if Tennant were the 9th Doctor? I mean, would the show have been as successful as it is? More, less?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, because they were still
that buffer.
And on top of that, like Doctor Who hadn't been on for quite some time, and they were dipping their toe into seeing if it was still viable, a still viable character. And even Tennant said, like, there was an interview with him where he was like, they asked him, what did you do to prepare for the role? Was there any preparation, or did you just kind of wing it as you went along? And he said that he was winging it because they had just gotten through the first season with Eccleston, and he had just gotten the job, and he didn't even know if he was going to have a job. Like, they were the verdict was still out on if they were going to pick it up for the second season already. So I think Eccleston definitely put in some good foundation for it to let it be catapulted to Tennant. Yes.
Now, I don't know if you knew this, but actually, from what I've read, Tennant was actually on the short list to be the first Doctor.
Ah, okay.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, then he was. I know Capaldi was for Smith as well. These are Davis wanted Tennant on the first season. I don't know what happened.
Right.
But like you were saying, I am glad that Eccleston was the first Doctor, because I don't think that Tennant could have done what he did.
Right.
Without it. Because he didn't. He was so cutesy and cheeky and whatever. It made sense, and it was really a draw from the old Doctors, because Eccleston had that kind of gruff thing, and then Tennant was more of the dreamboat, and the old fans would not have put up with a dreamboat coming in from that transition.
I'm glad you said that word, dreamboat, because I want to ask a question.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. And I love you, Jen. I don't want you to kill me, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. There are critics that believe that Tennant bringing the dreamboat, love interest, sex symbol quality to the Doctor is not necessarily the greatest thing.
I agree 100%. This is something I like about Capaldi. That has went away.
They did that specifically because of Tennant to Smith.
Yeah. Come on.
Because they're the young, good-looking guys. Again. So I'm curious, you guys. What do you guys think about that idea of the dreamboat Doctor? Is that a good thing, a bad thing, a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both because if I'm just thinking of it as like if I was weirdly enough, if I was a time traveler, like there's definitely a romanticism about going on an adventure, going back through time and going through adventures that, like they've even said, like if there's always a romantic connection when two people are in kind of like a close quarters or an intense situation. And they're in an intense situation for 13 episodes.
But let me interject. And I could be wrong, but from what I understand, it wasn't until Eccleston and continuing with Tennant that the Doctor took on a romantic view with his companion.
Yeah, because that would never happen before.
Which never ever happened.
Well, no. It happened with the Doctor before Eccleston, the one that's kind of lost.
The Eighth Doctor? Yeah, the one that was in Time with the Doctor.
Yeah,
which is a little bit fun.
They Americanized that and crapped on it.
And he had a romantic thing?
Yeah. Dude, he was making out with somebody in the movie, and I'm like, no.
But was it a companion?
To be honest, I never liked it enough to remember.
Okay.
I kind of feel that. Well, at the beginning, it was a children's show. They've always said it, and it still is to this day. It's considered a children's show. But when they restarted it with Eccleston, that they knew that the kids that used to watch the earlier versions of it are now grown up, and that like they could actually kind of sprinkle that little bit of a romanticism in there because now that they're grown up, you can do adult issues or you can have adult.
Right. I just know that Tennant really kind of split the Doctor fan base. You had a lot of the traditionalists who didn't necessarily dislike him, but didn't like that element. Yeah, well, and then, of course, you have all the newer fans, a lot of, quote, fangirls, unquote, or whatever, that liked Tennant for that quality.
Well, this is what I want to see from my Doctor. I don't mind the dreamboat thing. I think, it's a good-looking guy. Cool. Or good-looking whatever the Doctor's going to be regenerate to next. I have no issue with that, but I don't like a romantic entanglement with the companion. I like, they tread on it a lot more carefully with Matt Smith because, yes, he was the dreamboat, and there was a weird love triangle, but not really because she was married and all that other stuff. And there was never anything with Clara.
It's always been a tease, but there's never really been.
And that's how it should be because it's just like kind of like. Okay, this is going to sound really weird. Think of this: the Sting song "Don't Stand So Close to Me." That girl has that kind of little fantasy that he's just so dreamy and you can pine over him, but it's safe.
Right.
And that's kind of how I think the Doctor should be played. Tennant, I think, went a little too far because I don't think they should have, because he's 1,000 years old.
True, but then that's when I think that's when they were having a little bit of the backlash, and that's when they threw in River Song.
Yes,
and made that into like, well, I know you. Like, don't be messing with these other girls because you're going to be mine someday. Like, you're my doctor. You're not my doctor yet, but you're my doctor.
That's your mother-in-law, you jerk.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, spoilers. We're not into Smith yet, so we can't say that just yet.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that's actually a really good point, Jason. I like that. So where do you feel? Do you feel that? We answered, so what do you think?
Well, I've read, I like to go into reading articles and then going into comments because I like to look.
Don't ever read the comments.
No, listen, I do like that because if you want a really interesting picture of human nature, I'm not going to say accurate, but I will say interesting.
That's a good way to put it.
I will say exaggerated.
Okay.
Like you take things that could be true and just blow them up to 10. Or a million, I don't know. Blow them up a lot. I think that it was inappropriate for him to have romantic entanglements with the companions. Now, outside of the companions, I don't really feel that way. I think that if he had a quick, romantic interest, like in some of the episodes we'll talk about, I think that's fine. But with
Captain Jack?
Even if that were to happen, but I would actually probably say no because he essentially was a companion. So I would say no, he probably shouldn't have with him either.
Well, yeah, actually this kind of leads us up. Just that was an offhand comment. I didn't mean to go there, but I don't think there should be a question whether he's gay or not gay or black or whatever because the Doctor is the Doctor, and if he has no romantic entanglement because he's 1,000 years old. Why are we worried about all that other stuff?
Well, because he was kind of having them.
Yeah.
See, and so to answer your question,
yeah, no, that's why.
Yeah,
that's
I do think that was probably for the American audience or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you guys. We do appreciate it.
We appreciate it, but
no more scarves.
Yeah. But I think that the romantic entanglements, I don't think that was the best choice.
Yeah. But I think
with the companions,
I think they've done a lot of good in trying to fix it.
Well, that's good.
So, and you'll see as you go. So,
yeah, once you get to Smith, you'll see that whole arc.
And it wasn't like the abrupt. Well, this didn't exist. It's just kind of this like slow kind of burn. Especially once we get to Donna, which we'll talk about in this episode.
Donna,
love Donna. There was. She was a girl, he was a guy, and there was nothing there. I mean, you could see it. It was so perfect.
But there was that like
there wasn't
that
a
friction.
Will they, won't they?
There was kind of a tension, but they never like they got really close, and then they kind of broke it off, and kind of it was almost kind of like an ebb and flow of it. But they never got together. They never actually became an item, I guess you could say.
Let me jump ahead because we're going to be talking about our favorite episodes as we go. Mm-hmm. So let me throw in this one. That one episode where they kissed for some reason, and it was like, ooh, that's awkward.
That was when he took the cyanide.
Yes.
Right.
And it made sense why they did it, and it wasn't romantic, but it's just like, now I get it. Okay, yeah, no.
Actually, it made no sense. Of that whole scene, which I remember being brilliantly funny, because they are both brilliantly funny, and I believe they were both friends from.
They are.
They're friends.
They're
improving, and yeah.
That scene was so brilliantly funny until she kissed him, and then I was like, "Why? They got to do this all the time." They did it with Martha Jones. Mm-hmm. You know.
Oh, Martha Jones, you feel bad for. We'll get in her in a minute.
I mean, I loved her.
Yeah, she was great.
But they made them kiss once, or twice. I don't remember.
But that was such a pining after, and you felt so bad for that girl.
Right.
You know. So let's hit starting in the first time we see Mr. Tennant at the Christmas invasion. Mm-hmm. Basically a rehash of the Mannequin Men. Only this time it was Santa Claus.
I'll tell you this, though. I've been kind of the negative Rose person. I loved Rose Tyler in this episode because I loved how she reacted to Tennant when she first saw him. And I remember him saying, well, do you want me to change back? And she's like, yes. And he's like, oh.
That one, the answer he's hoping for.
Yeah. And I just remember, as I said, I never Billie Piper's okay. It's not like I hated her because that's certainly way too strong. But I never really dug her. But in that episode, I thought she was fantastic.
She was great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she honestly was speaking for the entire audience at that moment because most of us didn't grow up on Doctor Who, so this was the first time.
Right.
And you're like, I mean, you knew the regeneration thing if you did any research, but it was just like, oh wow, this breaks my. No, I want the other guy back. There was nothing Tennant could have done in that episode.
Right. You're exactly right.
And
that's what she did.
was speaking for us.
All of us.
That was what was so brilliant about that.
Yeah, that was really good. And she, to her credit, immensely improved while she was with Tennant. I think, even though their romance kind of bloomed, which I didn't like, her performance and the episode she was in, most definitely she got better for me. Anyway,
now of all the episodes, honestly, this one was kind of the most unsatisfying as far as ending goes. Spoiler. Well, he just needed tea. Come on. Yes, it's so British and so whatever.
But it was just the simplest thing is what would actually put him onto the thing.
He's done this 10 times. Wouldn't he know?
Well, with his brain being hazy, because whenever they're rebooting from the regeneration, like there's different things. Like even with Matt Smith, like they had that with Capaldi. It's always like there's always a little bit of vagueness, a little bit of like amnesia before they actually click in and become the Doctor again.
I remember about this episode. What was really interesting was watching him remove his Eccleston outfit and put together his Tennant outfit. Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Was great.
I remember that bit of sequence being really well done because you saw him he put it together so subtly. It's not like, and here's my coat and here's my shoes. He was real just calm about it. Mm-hmm. And David Tennant is rarely calm. But to watch him actually do that scene calmly was really neat.
And such a great look.
Yeah, good look. Yeah.
This is a great episode. We should give them all a hand for this. Yeah, we should give them a hand for this episode. It's what? I have the Funko Pop. Shut up.
Now,
well, you got to just go see Captain Jack.
now, the other historical thing that we see on this episode was this is the end of Harriet Jones. This is the last time we see Harriet Jones. Which, I mean, she went from such a brilliant, sweet, loving character to just kind of like, you suck.
Well, they even kind of alluded to that even before, like at the beginning when we see her for the first time. That you're going to become prime minister, and you're going to be defending you're defending the Earth at one time, and she's like, she gets this little hint into her future, and then it kind of comes to fruition with this episode where she's her last breath, she's defending the Doctor and the world on top of that, yeah.
So and I forget, how did she meet her end in that episode?
She didn't meet her end. He just said, I can't trust you.
Yeah, I can't trust. That's right.
No. She wasn't. She was in the bunker, and the aliens found her. Yeah, like she was. They were uploading.
She was at the end when she made the call to blow up the ship. She was the one that made the call, and that's why we saw the end of Harriet Jones, because Doctor would not have anything to do with her after that.
But I remember somebody was coming after her, and then she gave the order to do that, and then they were coming in. Either that, we might be talking about a different episode. Yeah, that she's been.
No, you're thinking of a Slitheen episode.
No.
Sure?
It's.
Well, that's a little hypocritical of the Doctor, I would think.
Well, but he had it. He had his plan arranged. And then no, go and tell them the Earth is protected, blah blah, and then they blew up an unarmed ship at that point. There was no way that they could defend themselves.
Yeah, I just know, like I said, I know the Doctor has been in some tough situations where he's had to, make a yes or no decision.
Well, here's the facts: the Doctor's a hypocrite, and the Doctor lies. You can't always look under. Yeah, there's no fact, I guess.
Okay. So the second episode was one that I really liked. It's called New Earth.
The cat people.
Yeah. And
everything except for the first 2 minutes.
Why the first 2 minutes?
They're sitting down having a romantic picnic while looking at New York.
That's not so bad. I mean, there's worse.
It wasn't like they were making out or anything.
But it did set the tone for, okay, gotcha. And that's...
But what was neat was this was a sequel from Eccleston's series.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
From the first episode. It was 23 years, the year 5,023 years later, after the destruction of Earth. And they went to the new Earth.
With the cat people.
But great, just visual, makeup artistry and all that. They were so good.
And Moisturize Me.
Yeah.
She made her appearance back, and she found her way to becoming human again by... possessing Rose, didn't she?
Yeah, right. And the Doctor.
Yeah, they kept.
Also?
Yes,
because they were being followed by the disease-ridden, I guess you could say, zombies or whatever. They're curing, and then they would switch back and forth to kind of figure out what was going on.
And you came to understand Cassandra and find out she was not necessarily quite so black-hearted as you thought.
Right.
No. But I say that was a great demise.
Oh yeah, well, where they go back and she goes back in time, right?
Yes.
And figures out she has that realization about that her one encounter that she had.
Her only friend is
right.
And was Harkness in that episode? Wasn't that one?
Well, I don't remember.
Well,
yeah, sort of.
Yes and no.
Yeah, okay.
Yes and no.
Sort of. Do we want to spill the beans on it because we've been tiptoeing around
it did happen during Tennant's.
It did happen during Tennant's era.
So the beans. That Captain Jack Harkness basically clued them in that he is the face of Bo.
Because you realize that once, what was it, the very last episode of Eccleston where where everything happens with Rose, that what was it, the energy, the time energy actually embodied Jack Harkness and made him immortal.
Right.
Yeah, and if you know who that is, you go back and you watch the first couple episodes with the face of Bo. And it's his freaking face.
Right.
You can see it. It's like, oh, how did I miss that?
I totally love Merlin.
Okay, so let's move on to School Reunion. This is a couple episodes later.
Yeah, we got to go with Tooth and Claw. That was one of my favorite ones.
Go ahead, Kosh, take the ball.
Oh, with the werewolves.
We can't talk about every one of them. We'll be here for a month.
Just with the werewolves, it was like one of my first dark, scary kind of Doctor Who's for Tennant, and just kind of I loved it. It was just a good thrill ride for me. Yeah. Okay. So moving on.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna try to cover as many as we can, but we're so School Reunion was great because they bring back
Sarah
Jane, and K9. Let's not forget K9. There's a certain fan out there that I know that loved K9. So yes, we're gonna give out shout to K9.
But that was a great nod to the past. And then she went and did her own spin-off after that. And then unfortunately she
the Sarah Jones Chronicles.
Sarah Jones Chronicles. It was more of a kids show,
right?
Which I like. When they do that, Torchwood was very, very, very adult.
Right.
Yeah. Sarah Jane was very, very
Sarah Jane and K9 were back in the older Doctor Who mythos, so she wanted to kind of just keep that torch going of making it
one of the
she was for a couple actually.
Several of the older.
Yeah, I think starting with 4. Actually, my son knows better than I do, but yeah, he researches them. But yeah, that was a great nod to the past. It had Anthony Head.
He was in it, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Oh, he was the principal, wasn't he?
He was the principal.
Yes.
Right. / other thing.
For an extra spin-off, he was Giles and Buffy.
Yes,
right?
He was. Yeah, right. He's been around a little bit, and he was in Repo the Genetic Opera.
Which I will be watching soon.
Oh, my gosh.
I know, you loaned me the disc like 17 episodes ago, and I still haven't had a chance.
17 years ago,
yeah. All right, so we move from there, though, into one of my first favorite of the Girl in the Fireplace.
Great writing.
Which features David Tennant's real-life ex-love interest. Sophia Miles, I think that was her name, Sophia Miles. And she played, I'm reading it here, Madame de Pompadour.
Yeah.
And it had those really creepy mannequin robots.
Clockwork people.
Right, the clockwork people.
Right.
And then just showing kind of like, well, just with the time flip that they would go with the fireplace where it would go back and forth with the
right.
How can I? Like just with the time shift, like he was in the future, she was in the past, but then he saw her growing
young or younger, older.
Yeah,
and that ended up being a theme of later
seasons. Yes,
with a certain companion.
But who was the showrunner on this?
Moffat. Exactly.
So it kind of makes sense, kind of where he went with it.
Right. I liked in that episode that he had a slight romantic entanglement with her. I mean, if you're going to do that with a really good-looking doctor, there you go. That's how you should do it. It shouldn't be with the companion. But I remember the Clockwork people were one of the first times I watched this show and was actually like, those are creepy looking. And actually got that oogie feeling that several creatures later did give me as well, but they were the first.
Okay, and then let's talk about episode 5 and 6. I know I said we weren't going to do these all, but these are all such freaking good episodes. The Return of the Cybermen.
Yes.
So instead of going exterminate, they say delete.
Right.
Or upgrade, because they're upgrading you. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put it right out there. I'm not a fan of the Cybermen. I never really have been.
I can't fight you on it. I think they're good for what they do, but I don't like. Oh, I hope we do another Cybermen episode.
I know that there was the Cybermen episode later. I think at the end of the season or close to it with the ghosts.
Yes,
which was neat, and I think that when they, that was when they also battled the Daleks, I believe.
Right,
and got slaughtered by the Daleks. Also, that, and they just. I don't know. They looked stupid. Sorry, and they just had no.
But
clunky 1950s style.
Well, the Daleks look clunky too, but at least
they're as stupid as the Cybermen. But, so if you're basing strictly aesthetically,
no, I'm not. But the Daleks are scary.
Right.
I mean, the Daleks are fearsome and scary.
Well, the Daleks are only scary because of how Eccleston was afraid of them.
No, they remain scary through their tenure. In the new seasons.
I think that a lot of that is just nostalgia.
Okay, so maybe they might have lost some of their scariness because you saw them all the time.
Right.
They kind of oversaturated them. But anyway, we're talking about Cybermen, so I'm not a huge fan of Cybermen.
But I do like the dialect that they had with each other, because they're like, oh no, I'm the more evil, and then finally the Daleks are like, well, there is one thing that you do better than we do. You die better than we do.
You die better.
I love that one. That's so awesome.
So yeah, they're fun. They're fun. It's not so much that they're scary; they're fun. You'll see in future episodes, which is ahead of both of you guys. Well, Kosh caught one of them. There's some Cybermen that are actually pretty freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
I like the.
I like how they
kind of Christmases.
They revamped them a little bit to kind of make a more streamlined, more modern area, which is nice.
Which they needed to do. They didn't do that in these ones, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, they get a little bit. Once you get into Matt Smith, they do get a little scarier. Like they bring them in, and they're a little bit more threatening, and almost like a Terminator type of a monster.
But they almost turn into C-3PO. In the future.
Oh, really? Okay. I haven't gotten to there yet.
It's more. You'll see.
Okay.
Well, if you want to talk about scary, let's talk about the Impossible Planet and the Safety Pit.
I'm just about to say that.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so here we introduce.
Sorry, they're not bad guys, but they're the scariest monsters in Doctor Who. Period.
The Ood.
Ood.
This is what happens when you get in a car accident with eating spaghetti.
Yeah. No. Talk about a clever monster. Okay. Mm-hmm. Scary looking as can be. They walk around holding their brains in their hands, but good, kind, and demure and gentle.
And they only want to serve.
And they're just totally subservient. But if you get them upset,
until they get possessed by a rather large satanic,
which was bound to happen.
Right. So, what a great way to use real psychological fear. And I remember in that episode, they were like so nice and like. Doctor would turn his back and their eyes would turn red for a second. And they'd like red eyes and then the eyes would go away.
Right.
And it was a foreshadowing of some really serious bad stuff.
Right. Like this is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Like don't count them out just yet.
But they were cool.
Oh yeah, and then they had the devil guy at the bottom of it.
Right.
Which was really the only time I've actually ever seen Doctor Who cover a religious belief. And they did it brilliantly. He goes, I see you in front of me. I don't know if I believe in you or not, but it was really interesting, how they worked that without they didn't offend either side. I thought that was very well done.
True, interesting.
All right, so let's get into
Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters, where kind of just like a little spin-off. Well, not really a spin-off, but just kind of a side.
Yeah.
It was. I love the little episodes that you're like, oh, this one I don't even necessarily need to watch this, but then you watch it and it's just so good that you love it, and it's like about these people that are looking for the Doctor.
You want to watch that spin-off show.
And then there was that one actress that was in there, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, I know you. I've seen you before, and I can't put my finger on it, and I literally had to Google it up. And then you see it's Moaning Myrtle, and it's like, yes.
From those who are uneducated on it, that is from Harry Potter.
Harry Potter?
I think first or second one?
Second. Yes, because no,
fourth.
Second one.
Second one, okay.
Because the basilisk went into the laboratory.
And she was like 40 in that, and she still looks old.
Right.
There was some definite bizarre innuendo in that. It's like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing, but I am. But yeah, honestly, that was a fun little episode with almost no Doctor Who in it.
Right.
Or was there any?
Like right at the very end, I think it was.
Like a flash of him for 2 seconds.
Yeah, like they can only pay him for like 10 minutes in the show. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the first heartbreak of the Tennant series. Army of Ghosts Doomsday. This is when we say goodbye, sorta, to Rose.
Spoilers.
And he almost said the words.
He almost said.
And Rose Tyler, I
disappear.
Right.
Okay, so this was the one where the Cybermen were they were looking at the ghosts, and they thought they were benevolent, and they were trying to bring them in because they thought they were trying to help us and teach us about the great beyond and all that, and it ended up being the Cybermen.
Yeah,
which was like the only really clever twist that I saw with them. But then it was the Cybermen again, and they're all goofy looking.
Yeah,
right. They lost their scary appeal immediately.
Yeah, this was the first, that final thread that everybody lost from the beginning of the new series. Because we're not used to everyone. We're not losing everybody. No, we got to have one character that's going all the time. Nope, bye.
Right.
And it was really, I thought it was beautifully done.
But even with that, like Billie Piper said that she was she wanted. I mean, she felt that she had taken this as far as she can go, and that she at the height of her popularity, she wanted to go off and do other things. So
but I'm glad that she did.
And as an actor, I totally respect that. It's like, look, don't keep going on to a show, and then if you see it going downhill, like stay on a sinking ship.
Right, but
like she wanted to leave on her high.
I'm going to say this: there was no reason that the Doctor should have fallen in love with her. None whatsoever.
Okay.
I don't know. You're in intense situations for like 2 seasons, or 3. That
3 seasons
you kind of get attached to the person. There's some sort of
her falling in love with him. I could understand. Him falling in love with her is what I don't understand.
I'm not disagreeing, but I don't want to take the side of Jason because his heart is 3 sizes too small. Okay, so let's move on to one of probably my favorite companion. Period of Donna.
Even though I don't think she was a companion yet.
She was not at this point. No.
But yes, Donna Noble.
Donna Noble.
Awesome.
Dr. Donna.
I go back to agreeing with Dub on this because I loved her too.
She was great. I mean, she was just a great fit to kind of cut out that tension of like the love interest of the Doctor. Like she just came in. It was almost like I said about like going like a love interest back and forth, that they had that kind of attention. Had that kind of attention. Well, and maybe in a different way, but like, it was almost like a brother and a sister type of thing where they were just fighting with each other.
And I remember thinking, as much as Billie Piper bugged me the whole time up until now, then she came around and I was like, she's awesome. I absolutely loved her.
Right.
Yeah, no, I got her. She was fantastic. They're
so funny.
Oh yeah.
Well, sassy. She had her own like Saturday Night Live sketch show she did for years.
Yeah,
she's been around.
She like an accomplished improvist. Like she was definitely a force that could run with David Tennant's
just her whole
acting
attitude
ability as well.
Her whole attitude toward him, where every other pre-companion or whatever, this sense of awe and wonder about the Doctor, and she's almost like, what are you?
Yeah, what else you got?
Yeah, what are you all about? What makes you so special?
Yeah, she's got a lot of older Joan Rivers and older what's her name? Lisa Lampanelli, kind of that kind of feel,
right? Without
being crude.
Yeah, totally. Or she's, I don't want to say she's a pessimist, but she's always a skeptic about everything, and she's and she's always
a curmudgeon.
Yeah, she's a little bit of a curmudgeon. Yeah,
that's exactly why I loved her. Exactly.
All right.
Let's move on. Real quick, we're just going to hit on this. Then we meet the newest companion, which is the only one I felt bad for. Other companions, I think they kind of, no matter how they ended up, they deserved how they ended up.
Right.
She was just in love with this guy, and he was leading her on the whole time. He wasn't stupid. He knew, but he led her on the whole time. Just let him think that she was going to love her. But there's always Rose, and then it's like, eh.
Right.
I loved Martha Jones.
I
liked her too.
I felt like she didn't get a fair shake.
Oh, maybe.
And I'm not saying romantic. I'm just saying that he should have a long time before. No.
Right.
Well, adventures or no?
Well, and she was smart. Right. She was actually as to where Rose was kind of like I don't want to say street urchin, but she had street smarts. Mm-hmm. She was the one that you can if you needed some information. She can just run off and talk to a few people, and she had that swagger about her. Right. But with Martha, she was a doctor. She was she was very intelligent with that way, and that was a good compliment to how the doctor thinks as well.
One of my favorite Martha episodes was the next one, the Shakespeare Code.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
I loved that episode. I loved the way that David Tennant was going to introduce Shakespeare as this pinnacle of class and all these great high lofty adjectives and compliments, and then Shakespeare came out and was all crass.
Yeah,
I remember exactly what he said.
Which I totally believe him that he was that because he wrote plays for the people, not for the kingdom, not for the hierarchy. Yeah, right. He did it for the people. So of course he was a drunk.
And
of course he was
hit on Martha Jones immediately.
Of course,
and she kept talking about his breath, which just cracked me up.
He's like the Bukowski of his day. He just he was a curmudgeon.
Okay, let's talk Gridlock, and then we're going to skip ahead a couple episodes after that because I know you guys want to talk on Gridlock.
Yeah.
Which was a really interesting part 2 to the
part 3
to the
New Earth,
New York,
the Eccleston episode, and then New Earth with the cat people. Exactly. Yeah, they're stuck in an indoor roadway, and they're trying to stay away from these giant crabs that I guess were in an old Doctor Who episode.
Mm-hmm. Which I didn't watch.
And I'm remembering, I'm the problem with this episode is that I know it was sad because they were locked in there because something happened to the air outside.
Yeah, you couldn't breathe.
They couldn't breathe, and they were locked in there, but they all...
moving like a mile for their lifetime.
Yeah, and they were in there for...
it took years just to get up to the next level or the next level down, which was the faster lanes.
And they couldn't leave.
Yeah, and they could not leave.
They were trying. It was really sad. It was like the New Earth population demise.
And they wrote that after a trip to San Francisco or L.A.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Right.
But I remember it was very touching. They were trying to save the few that were still alive. And, I just remember that episode leaving a real sad kind of impact.
Well, and that's also the episode where kind of like the 10th Doctor started to kind of open up to Martha, saying about like how he's the last of his kind, and that he was from Gallifrey and the Time War and stuff like that as well too.
Exactly.
Well, he doesn't know that at this time.
Okay, let's move up to Blink. If you watch Doctor Who, you know what we're talking about, and you just shivered a little bit.
Of the episodes I've watched, my favorite episode, absolutely hands down.
Which shouldn't be, honestly. I mean, it's cheap props. It's like, but it works.
Again, you take something that is a cheap prop. And you absolutely make it clever.
Because they didn't. There's no animatronics. There's no CGI. They moved statue from point A to cut.
And I'm gonna say this about the Weeping Angels. I know that they come on later. I know that later, especially in the Smith era, they're much more evil.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I have actually seen that episode with Matt Smith. In the Weeping Angels.
Okay.
And I hated what they did to them. I hated that they turned them from these sinister creatures that if they touched you, you went back 23 years. And they didn't kill you. They touched you and you went back in time. Because if you remember in that episode, that was the whole point of them. They
were assassins. They would kill you.
No, they didn't kill you. They sent you back in time.
Well, at the beginning, they killed you, right?
No, they sent you back in time.
Oh, they sent you back in time because of the writing.
If you remember the blonde actress that was in that episode, she met that young black man.
Right.
Okay, and she was kind of led to believe that they were going to be romantic.
That's right.
And then he got hit by the Weeping Angel, and then she met him as an old man.
As an older man. Okay.
Okay. So when she learned about the Doctor and Martha Jones, she saw them on the recording that they had to get in sync with her, and I just remember that was so clever.
Oh, and then the script, they had the script as well, where it showed exactly what they were saying as well too.
Right.
Yeah, from the information that I found on Google is that Moffat actually wrote this, I think, within either a few hours or like a day. Like it was a really short script.
Well, with how simple everything is,
he needed because he couldn't get a Tennant or Martha Jones because they were having some financial difficulties, but they had to make out an episode. So they just gave him this off week where he would just write this simple script really quickly, threw it out there, and he's like, you know what? I did my best. Have at it.
And they were in the episode briefly on the recording.
Yeah, and they for a long time he felt that this was probably one of the worst episodes that he ever did. Yeah. And then come to find out, people loved it so much.
Oh yeah, people that is a benchmark.
That they finally convinced him to be like, yes, this is one of my better episodes.
But I don't know if the people listening agree, but turning the Weeping Angels into murderers and killers was a horrible idea.
I don't agree with you at all. I think what they did with them is genius.
Okay.
Just my personal opinion. Where they went with it.
To find a perspective, they killed him in the present world, but they took it because they were Time Lords, right? They were all.
No, their power was if they touched you, you went back in time.
But the reason why they were encased in there and why you couldn't blink was because they were actually former Lords of Time.
Well, if they expanded on that in the later seasons, I don't know about that yet. I just remember their first presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish we could do 2 episodes on this. I should have planned it that way. Let's see, you meet the Master, and you do the Kylie Minogue episode, which was fantastic. Space Titanic.
Right. Well, don't forget the one before that with the Master.
No, that's what. We meet the Master, then we meet Kylie Minogue. And then Donna's back, and she's the companion. Yes. And then we go to Fires of Pompeii,
which you get to see
a young Amy Pond,
and you get to see a young Peter Capaldi.
Well, not so much young, but yes,
middle-aged.
Sort of, kind of explain that, in a way. But I think that was a great episode, trying to stop what can't be stopped.
Right.
And it was a beautiful moment, honestly. Then we get some more oods, and then we get just some of my favorites. The Sonitarians.
I have to admit,
love them.
I love Strax. He is so funny. He is like just the right amount of comic relief,
and he's always around.
Yeah, he's always around.
He sticks around for the rest of the show.
You'll definitely see him in later episodes, and he's just every time he shows up, you just laugh. He's just so funny.
You didn't skip over Signs in the Library, did you?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Hey, that's mine.
Yeah, I'm trying to go as fast as I can. We got Doctor's Daughter, which was a heartbreaker.
Read a really great episode how they made that. Yes. Agatha Christie, The Unicorn and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Right.
That would never work being made on American TV.
Yeah.
They did good on that.
Okay, so I'll give you guys a couple minutes. We're going to try to do this as fast as we can. Silence in the Library. I'm just going to sit back and watch you guys argue about it for a second.
No, I don't have any argument on that.
No arguments whatsoever. This, I have to admit, like after with marathoning a lot of the Doctor Who, this episode right here was what made me fall in love with Doctor Who. Flat out,
awesome.
period.
Really?
Such a great story.
Well, who did it introduce?
It introduced one of my favorite characters in the show,
Sweetie.
River Song. Hello, sweetie. Yes. And now that I have finished her arc, I want to go back and watch the episode again because I know I'm just going to be bawling my eyes out because now I know her story. I know everything about her.
You are getting teary-eyed.
Yes.
I'm looking at you right now.
Yes, because it's so well written. And on top of that, just with Donna, because they it's with the story in cases, it's this library planet where the whole planet is a library, and something happens where there's either a virus or something, and something happens, and the Doctor goes to investigate. And Donna gets trapped in this where she has a life, she has a family, she has a husband, and when she comes out of it, she finds out that this was all just a dream,
right? And
that maybe, maybe this some of the people that he saved, maybe my husband's in there, and then. You see, she tries to look. She doesn't see him. She walks away, and then he finally sees her, and then tries to communicate with her, but he has a stuttering problem, and that broke my heart.
Oh, I remember that episode.
Such a good episode.
Was so sad. Oh. I mean, on so many levels.
Yeah,
sad. I remember.
I can literally have an episode I can do an episode of this just on that episode. Yeah,
which we might later.
I love it.
I'm not stealing any of Kaj's thunder.
No,
at all.
I think you got it. Okay, let's move up to one of my next favorite episodes, which was The Next Doctor, which had the governor in it from Walking Dead.
Yes.
It was a guy that mistakenly thought he was the Doctor, and he had a sonic screwdriver. It's Sonic, yes. It was. I loved how they did that. I thought that was a really brilliant episode. Kind of poked fun at kind of the cheesiness of Doctor Who without making fun.
Right.
I thought it was a very great line that it drew. Let's see. I think do we have to talk about this one now? Okay, one more I want to hit before the end, which is Planet of the Dead, which was a really good episode.
That was a really good episode.
This is, I believe Donna's gone at this point.
Yeah, because I was kind of hoping that the female in this episode would have been a new companion. Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. Right after the Doctor loses a companion, he always seems so lost, and that was what you're seeing at this point.
Right.
It's just like, okay.
And you can't blame him. The companion is so important to him.
Well, the companion is what that is as humanity.
Well,
yeah,
they had that was definitely, was that before or after Dr. Donna when she actually.
When she was gone, just after.
When she merged, but then that's why the Doctor brought her back to her time.
Yes.
Because if she knew all the stuff that had happened to her, then her brain would fry or something like that, right?
Okay, and then we'll skip over the Waters of Mars, which was a good episode, but just for the sake of time, let's talk about the end of time.
End of Tennant.
And that's
that's about how everybody felt at that point.
Right,
like,
but
nobody could do as good as this.
But the character in that is Donna's father?
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned him yet, how important he is.
Yeah, he's very important to the show.
Right. Waiting for the Doctor.
Yeah, and just like him with his telescope, always looking up at the stars, and
pretty heartbreaking too.
Yeah, because in earlier episodes, like she had gone back and seen her parents, and her mother's kind of a curmudgeon as well. That always negative, but her father was always the dreamer that was looking in the stars and would always like look after her and would always help her out whenever she got in trouble. And now that Donna's kind of out of the picture, now he kind of takes over for her.
And then she can't remember anything after that. And it's like, oh. Now, why I like The End of Time isn't so much for the story, it's for the ending. I thought this was the best I've ever seen any of the Doctors tie everything up at the end.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You didn't see Matt Smith. He had that nice moment with Clara and kind of with Rose in a way. But this was the best tying up of all the loose ends.
Right.
He goes and sees all his companions that he had during the time.
Right.
Including Rose, which is like, oh no!
Yeah.
It's a year before he meets her.
Right.
I'm like, oh.
And then, we have to say that the Master comes back in this one as well.
Back. Who, honestly, he plays that part so well.
Yes.
I don't like Missy. I like him.
Yeah. Well, I just got to Missy, and I'm a little cheated because when I see Missy, and I'm like, I know who you are.
Yeah. No, I didn't dislike Missy, but the Master was just. He's not the first Master, by the way, through Doctor Who history. There's been several.
Yeah. There's been several. And
right.
Because he's a Time Lord and he hears the drums, which if you notice, the drums are actually the drums of the Doctor Who song. If you hear it, which is so he keeps hearing that, and it's almost like if the Doctor went wrong, like if the Doctor had a bad day, or if he went through the same training that the Master had, the Doctor would have been the same way.
Well, the Master is very much the Moriarty to Doctor Who's Sherlock.
Right.
Yeah.
He's kind of like his nemesis.
Yeah. Okay, so who else do we see in that one? We see a little last-ditch effort for Captain Jack, who is a pretty shallow person, so he gave him what a shallow person would give.
Right.
I'll leave it to your mind.
Isn't this where he tells people that he's the face of Bo? Where he said where he tells them that back in college, right?
I think so. Remember that. And then the other one was the Donna, how he tied up that he can never see her because she can't remember him, because if she does, she'll die,
right?
And the whole universe will basically end. So he gives her a lottery ticket. I'm like, wow, that was pretty classy how they did that. It didn't affect anybody else, but I was just like, you know what? You traveled the galaxy. You saved billions of lives.
Right.
This is for you.
Right.
And then, it's like, as you never see the companions get, as shallow as I'm going to sound, get anything out of it. And this Doctor seems like he made sure everybody...
Because the Doctor always plays such a kind of almost half a Richard half the time.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
To see him do something so selfless,
kind of make things right. Yeah. Kind of like give everybody
hey, you know what? These are my last few moments. Here.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and then so let's talk about the regeneration.
And then you see the TARDIS, and it's kind of like going all haywire, and things are exploding. It's crashing, and then Tennant just says
that line,
which
as the actor, say the line.
I don't want to go.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Which I definitely feel, because after listening to interviews with him, that was his line. I kind of feel that was ad-libbed a little bit because he didn't want to go.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah, that inspired a whole bunch of articles.
Right.
About, did they get rid of him? Did he want to leave?
Okay, and this is after listening to several interviews with him, listening to interviews with Moffat and Davies. He wanted to go. It was ready to go. That was not a far cry. That was the character.
There was
nothing to that.
But I wouldn't be surprised if in their own way, like to generate buzz about the show, that they didn't put that in there just for that reason.
Possibly, but I kind of feel...
Yeah. But how convincing it was when he said it.
I kind of feel it was both. Like it was a great line for the Doctor and for Tennant, because, the articles I read as well was that... that he didn't want to leave, but he knew as an actor, like Billy Piper did, he knew that if he didn't leave, he would have been pigeon-toed as being the Doctor forever. Yeah, right. And as an actor, that's the same thing with Christopher Reeves and Superman. Like he knew he had to leave because forever everybody knows him as, or even Captain Kirk.
I'm about to speak some geek heresy here, and I believe this 100%, and I think I lose my geek card after this. But by and large, the I don't want to leave is on par with I love you, I know.
Right.
It's
it's cool.
I know that's going to piss some people off.
No, your lamination is still safe.
But I feel like that line was that good. I think that is one of the top 5 geek moments.
It was the perfect line for the perfect scene with the perfect doctor.
Yeah, Matt Smith couldn't have done that.
I don't think so.
Nobody else could have done that.
No.
Except for him at that moment. And it's because you could feel everything went through with Rose, and you forgive him for all the screwing around and all that other stuff because it's like...
It was definitely his line, but even in a lot of ways, even though Eccleston's line of "it was fantastic and so was I" wasn't quite to the same level.
It was a great line.
It was still Eccleston's line.
Right. Yeah.
No one could have done that.
The doctor.
No one
that was the doctor.
Because every doctor is their own doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
And, that was just so perfect.
So I know we're getting ready to wrap this up, but the thing about this show that I think is great is that they could present such complex ideas
in
such a straightforward, easy to understand way.
And they're brilliant.
And how many sci-fi shows can do that? Not too many.
Well, I will say this, sci-fi is probably better at it than anything else in the world, though.
True.
Because you have this suspension of disbelief, so you can tackle things that you're not comfortable talking about.
True.
In an abstract way. But Doctor Who sets the bar for it.
Well, and even that, I really wish kind of some of the American, and I don't think I've actually necessarily seen an American show do this, but I love how Doctor Who will go back and revisit some things, or actually just the little tidbits of things that you will know.
I will say the American show that probably does that best is Star Trek.
Okay. That'll kind of go back and
can't disagree with you on it.
Right.
Yeah, and just have subtle nuances. I think in Tennant's, there was one. I think it was in the Shakespeare episode where they were talking about Dickinson or Dickens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is happening here. Well, I bet you. I wonder if Dickens had ghosts in his thing, and you're like, that's Eccleston. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Spoiler.
Huh?
This is from future. This season of Doctor Who had Capaldi goes, well, they were eating something. He goes, oh, you've eaten here before? I've been here 3 times. And it's like, oh, I get it. Oh,
okay.
I love how they do that. And honestly, you don't have to watch every episode to get it. You don't get that line, but it doesn't matter. And that, to me, is the perfect way to do Geek.
Right.
It's nice if you have the history and you get more, but you can 100% understand everything without
you can go full circle many, many times just to kind of remember, hey, guys, we still remember you.
See, Marvel take a lesson from this.
Right.
Anything time travel take a lesson, too.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because they handle time travel beautifully.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Okay, let's wrap this up. So let's start with our happy curmudgeon, PB&Jason.
I am happy.
You are.
Actually,
this is why I had to go to you first. You're actually smiling at the end of an episode.
This was a good fun
We
episode.
didn't yell at each other much.
No.
We didn't at all. I think one sour face. That's about it.
Yeah.
So where do you reach me if you want to reach me about things you want to reach me and don't want to reach me?
I'm used to saying that to Spike, so yeah.
Okay, I'm on Twitter.
Are you still on Reddit?
I'm not on Reddit.
You're on Tumblr?
I'm on Tumblr.
Oh, Grindr, gotcha.
Yeah.
Grindr,
Yeah.
MySpace.
Swipe right.
The joke never gets old.
Friendster.
It really doesn't.
Maybe not for you.
MySpace. Yeah.
All right. So on Twitter, I am at PB_and_Jason, and I'm there tweeting much more than I used to.
I've noticed that. I'm
trying to get used to that whole 140 character thing.
AOL IM?
And what? Who? Haha.
AOL IM?
No. And I'm on the Facebook page doing my thing all the time there.
Nice.
Take it, Kaj.
Hey, I've given up on Twitter. I'm just only on Facebook now.
You said that 20 times in the next episode. You can catch
I've tried. No, I said I've tried, but I guess I'm too old for Twitter. I can't do it. You
put the app on your phone, and it's just not that hard.
What does that mean?
It's really not that hard. You say hi to people.
He's like 5 years younger than me. I don't get that.
I'm like 20 years younger than anybody at the table.
I will.
Spike.
Okay, I will try to be on Twitter. just after peer pressure. I'll try to get on Twitter, but I'm mainly on the Facebook page. Say hi to me. I'll say hi back. And I hope you guys love the new logo because it took all of 10 minutes to do, but it was great.
Beautiful.
I loved it. Yeah,
no, it's
good job.
Actually, a few hours.
Yeah, I don't know how old the logo will be by the time that this airs. But, yeah.
Just say hi to me and I'll say hi back.
And get on Grindr. You'll like it.
No.
Reddit. Tumblr.
I'm pretty sure everybody would swipe left. I know.
What about you?
Wow, that sounded horrible.
Yeah, Dubs. How about you? With an S.
Okay, you can catch me on the Twitter at Comic Not Geek. You can catch the show's Twitter, which you should, at iHeartGeekShow. Now, the best one you can go to is www.iHeartGeekShow.com. Yes, it costs extra for the .com. Please use it. That's where you can find all our social media, and you can catch up and find all our shows, so I don't have to give you individual links, and it's awesome. And yeah, until next time, I'm Dub.
I'm Cudge.
I'm PB&Jason.
Keep on geeking on. Allons-y.
You've been listening to iHeartGeek. Our Twitter account is at iHeartGeekShow. Hope you enjoyed the show.